Hey, if you want to be a mental performance coach, or maybe you already are and you want to get good or you want to get great at it, this video might be helpful to you because I'm going to share a trap that I've fallen into on many occasions throughout my 40 years in the field. I'm Dr. Tom Hansen. You might know me from having written Heads Up Baseball with Ken Ravizza and Heads Up Baseball 2.0 with Ken Ravizza, or my personal fave, Play Big. And over the years, I've noticed, like, what is it that have someone be really successful as a mental performance coach and someone not so successful as a mental performance coach? And I'm going to boil it down to one thing. There's lots of different ways that you can state it, but I'm going to focus on one thing. We here in the West, like Western civilization, we tend to look at external things, like looking outside. And so you say, I want to be a mental performance coach. What do I need to do? What do I need to do? I interviewed 62 people preparing for the certification course that I teach now, and asked them, hey, what would make a course great? What would you love to have in a course? And they, by far the number one word, if I made a word cloud, would be system. I'd love to have a system that I can follow to help athletes. And while I do have that, I've created a system for that I teach. It's not the main thing. It's a distant second. The system and the tools that you use are not the main thing. It's something of what I'll talk about, the paradox. Like the paradox, I know some people, PhDs in sports psychology, but wouldn't be comfortable in front of a team or working with an athlete to know exactly what to do. They know the research on it, but they wouldn't, then they teach it. But that hasn't made them really good and effective and highly successful as a mental game coach. On the other side of the coin, you have people kind of not with much formal training. You take Tony Robbins, doesn't have a college degree. He learned a lot of NLP, so he trained and used tools from that. But that still wouldn't be the number one thing I'm confident he would say that makes the difference. Well, what is it? What makes the difference? What does the research say? I don't know if there's much research that I've seen. I know there isn't that much I've seen in terms of sports psychology, but I took a lot of counseling classes when I was getting my PhD at the University of Virginia, and they would do studies and say, okay, well, what mode of therapy, of style, makes the biggest impact, is most helpful? This one pitted against this one, and this one pitted against this one, and let's have a tournament, a research tournament, to see which one is best. And the variable that explained the most variance as to how much a client was helped was none of those. It was the relationship that the player or the client had with their therapist. It's the relationship dynamic that makes the difference. And that's part of what a trap I've fallen into is, I mean, I'm surrounded, you can't see them here, by books. I've written 4. I love to learn. I've taken many different certifications. I know many different tools. And yet I keep feeling like, oh, maybe what's the better one? What's the best thing to do? And that's not a bad question. It's just important to know that it's the relationship. It's in effect who I am being. So who you are being and the relationship dynamic that creates with the athlete, that makes by far the biggest difference. So there's so many different things you can do and different tools and strategies and techniques, but it has a lot to do with your confidence, your self-esteem, self-worth, self-concept, and how you present yourself, how you come across, and therefore then the relationship that you're able to form. So the tool, if you want to put it that way, the tool is you. And so the punchline here is the thing to work on the most is your own personal development, your own embodiment of what you're talking about. Because like in my program, it's like, well, yes, here's the system. You go right on through that, but it's still you as the instrument, you as the tool, taking it in, using your experience, how things land for you, your intuition. I did a session just yesterday with a baseball player, high-end college baseball player that was struggling with his confidence. I thought we were going to go to tapping, one of my most powerful favorite tools to use, be a time for another video, because he had been struggling so much with his confidence. But we had had a talk a few days before, and I gave him a few things to work with until we had a chance to speak a few days later. And he had a really good few days. He had just taken that little bit and run with it. So then I just intuitively knew, okay, I don't want to go dragging up a bunch of stuff from the past then when that's not, doesn't seem to be what's necessary. I want to go to where the action is, which is the future. So it was my, my humanness in the relationship and listening rather than dogmatically following the system or using, oh, I got to use this tool. It isn't that. It reminds me of a time when I worked with the New York Yankees back in 2001. Oh, here's this card. As long as we're going cards, we can go cards. I was full-time, or I was with the Texas Rangers. I was really a roving mental game coach for the Rangers back in 88, 89, 98, 99, 2000. And the Yankees brought me in to help the minor league managers develop a coaching philosophy. That's what that's what I was doing with the Rangers at the time. And the guy, oh, can you come do that with the Yankees? Sure. I did it. And what I did do, though, that was smart, rather than coming in and, oh, here's what I know, here's the tools and systems I will teach you, I established some relationships and interviewed the managers, the minor league managers, individually first. And interestingly to me, they said that the most important thing for them is the relationship with the player. You got to get a guy, was the term they used. Get a relationship with someone, and then you can coach them effectively. Then you can lead them where they want to go. And that's how I ended up getting the job, really, with the Yankees, is that they so loved that conversation, in part because I wasn't coming in preaching tools and techniques that I was going to teach these guys how to play baseball. It was drawing it out of them. I connected with them. There was a relationship there. And I really got hired. The guy, Mark Newman, said, you're the only guy that I would bring in because of how I was being, because I wasn't an in-your-face. I was able to navigate their environment in such a way that he felt we really had a great shot for it to work. So all that came from an intangible, not just what I knew, but how I was being. So being and doing is a big distinction here to keep in mind. Who are you going to, it's the beingness. And again, it's back on working on yourself. A couple of books come to mind, or stories anyway. This one's a good story. Acres of Diamonds. It's not talking about baseball diamonds, although it could. It's a story of a guy who wanted to find diamonds and get his riches. And he went off all around the world, came back exhausted, broke, tired, and then he looks down into his own field and sees acres of diamonds. You maybe have read The Alchemist. I would recommend it. If you didn't, it's really a fun read. It took me, I just read it a couple of months ago, finally got to it, but it's a comparable thing. The guy goes on this big journey all around, and then turns out that well, spoiler alert, already did, that it's right at home. It's at home. It's here. So yes, we need to go out and do things and have adventures. And it's going to be coming home to ourselves that we're going to find the key to our being who we want to be and doing what we want to do as a mental performance coach. You see these guys, oh, should I be like that? Should I be a real in-your-face guy, or should I be more laid back? Well, that guy's that, and that she's like this. Well, you got to cultivate your way of being that has you enable athletes to be comfortable with you. So the punchline here, be the change. Gandhi, be the change that you want to see in the world. Be the change that you want to make for athletes. Everything that we talk about with others, with athletes that we want them to get, the better we get it with ourselves, the better. A couple of quick stories on that. When I was in a bookstore many years ago, I saw this book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It was pretty new at the time. And I was reading it and I thought, well, this will be great. I can really help athletes with these ideas. Seek first. Well, I won't go into it, but there's a lot there. And then a voice in my head said, no, Tom, this can help you. You need to apply this. And I realized that I was wanting to learn things so that I could teach them, and I wanted to be them so that I could share them. And so that's been an ongoing quest for me, like a quest from my head. I've been very rewarded for being in my head, but that's not where the real gold is. The gold is more in my heart and connecting. I remember there was a woman who was working with University of Texas football as a sports psychology person, and she just didn't feel very football-y. She was very Texas-y. And I said, oh, well, what do you do? Mr. Western Mind goes, what do you do with your players? She goes, oh, I love my players. Like love as a verb. That's what it's like. I love my players. And it took me a while for that to really register. And that's why she was successful. She loved them, and that therefore gave them what they needed. I got a note here, Bonds. I just saw a video the other day, Barry Bonds talking with someone about how the importance of acceptance of failure. Like his dad taught him, son, you won't be able to enjoy your success unless you can accept failure. And so it's like, okay, one of the all-time greats, accepting failure is a part of it. Not accepting like resignation. Acceptance is not resignation. You're not resigning to failure. You accept it because if you're line out to the second baseman, now you're going to come and you're going to make some adjustment to try and hit it over the second baseman. Now you're going to be 0 for 2 in a big hurry. And it's the same for us as mental performance coaches. You need to be able to accept things that don't go well. Either you don't get some gig, you don't get hired, something fails. Athlete you really put your heart and soul in, athlete you love that doesn't perform well. How do you got to be able to deal with that, process it, and move on. So all the very things that we want to just kind of transmit or evoke from our athletes, we need to have that for ourselves. So that's the biggie. Don't think that there's any one thing out there that is the thing, other than getting great at being you and being a performer yourself. So if this conversation is of interest and you want to keep going with it, as I mentioned, I do have a certification course primarily aimed at baseball and softball, working in those sports, since that's really the sweet spot for me. Although everything I talk about is effective because it's humans performing in any sport. But I've spent a lot of time, the last 20, 25 years, working with executives and leadership teams in the business world. There'll be a link down below where you can get some more information about my program. Ultimately, it's going to boil down to a conversation with me about what you want to have happen as a mental performance coach. I'll tell you what I've got, and we'll see if it's a good fit. If so, love to have you. If not, do what you do. Get out there and do what you do. Find that way to be who you want to be, and knowing that coming home to myself is where that acres of diamonds are. That's where the gold and the diamonds are for you as a mental performance coach. And that's getting out there and playing big.